This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, and co-sponsors Beau Cook from Loan Market, Scott from Brightside Detailing and Ceramics, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, the official clothing partner of the Paracave Podcast, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Hi, this is Peter Sterling.
G'day, it's a big man here, Daryl Broman.
Hi, this is Brett Kenny.
G'day, it's Eric Ross Senior here.
Yeah, g'day guys, Aaron Raper here.
This is Ben Smith.
Hi, Bernie Gurr here.
Hi there, this is Mark Hughes.
How you going, mate? It's Mark Kiki here.
Hey guys, Nathan Kaler's here.
Brian Seni here, NRL physio.
Hi, it's Shannon Cooney, long-term Parramatta Eels tragic fan.
Hello, this is Paul Dunn.
Hey, it's Hayden Knowles here.
Hi, this is Michael Butner.
G'day, Peter Wynn here.
Hi, my name is Ron Griep. I'm from the United States of America, and currently you're listening to the Paracave Podcast.
Broadcasting live from the Paracave. Hello and welcome to another bumper episode of the Paracave Podcast. My name is Troy Warner, and I'll be your host this week and every week. And this week it is episode 141. Now, this week's chat, it's back again to the fans and members series of those who love rugby league or even a high-profile rugby league fan. And this week's chat is with someone who has become a real good mate of mine through rugby league. As rugby league does, you create friends and memories. But this week's chat is a real good mate of mine, and he also has the support of the Parramatta Eels as well, like myself. His name is Anthony Bomber Breeze. He joins me this week on the show, and he is a massive Parramatta Eels fan, but is also involved a lot in junior rugby league in Queensland, around the Ipswich area, and is also a co-host on the All Things Sports with Bomber and Shaz show, which you can find on Radio Springfield City via the Radio Springfield City app, which you can download. And he's also a person I catch up with whenever I'm in Queensland for an Eels game. And this particular recording, was done in the Paracave before the round one clash versus the Melbourne Storm, which Anthony Breeze came down, Bomber I should say. He won't mind me saying that. Bomber came down for. It's an interesting chat about Bomber's support of the Eels from over the years, his radio commitments, and also there is a mention of the Kangaroo Tour as well. So a pretty interesting story, that one. So to that story shortly, but in the meantime, have you purchased your Paracave Podcast hat yet? It's only the reasonable price of $15, and it comes with the new exciting podcast logo. And if you haven't already, get your order in and email the podcast at www.theparacavepodcast@yahoo.com, and to order your one now for only $15 plus postage and handling. Get your order in today, get in quick, be the first person to post on social media wearing your hat. Thank you for all your support of listening each week, and may you enjoy the content that comes out each week. I really hope you enjoy it, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you guys, the fans. Also available very, very shortly is some strictly limited edition sizes and numbers of Paracave Podcast polo shirts. They look great, from the official podcast apparel supplier, BTZD Clothing. They came in the mail the other day, so they look great. You may have seen the post up the other day on social media. Strictly limited numbers and sizes as well, so stay tuned for details of that as well. But of course, this wouldn't be possible without the help and support of the sponsors. You heard them at the top of the show. And you'll also hear more about them after the interview as well. Major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale from Parramatta Eels Club, Beau Cook from Loan Market, Scott from Brightside Detailing and Ceramics, and also BTZD LTD Clothing, as I just mentioned, and also Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty as well. So you'll hear about them more after the interview, but thank you very much to all the sponsors. Without your support, it makes the podcast grow and reach more people, which is much appreciated. But enough of me. You want to hear Anthony Bomber Breeze and his story. So as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get straight into it.
Hi, it's Anthony Bomber Breeze. I'm from Queensland, massive Parramatta Eels fan, have been all my life. Just love the Eels. My champion player was Brett Kenny through the day, but I loved them all. You're listening to the Parramatta Cave podcast with Troy Warner.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Parramatta Cave podcast is a massive Parramatta Eels fan, has been for years. And I've been to last year's grand final with him. I've grown a friendship with him from over the years by supporting the Eels as what rugby league does. It grows everyone together. He's involved in Bomber and Shaz All Things Sport radio show. He's a good friend of mine. So welcome to the Parramatta Cave podcast, Mr. Anthony Bomber Breeze.
No, thanks very much for the introduction, Troy. I'm happy to be here. And like you said, if you're a Parramatta fan, I like you, and you're a Parramatta fan, so I like you.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. And of course, at the time of this recording, you come down for the Melbourne Storm versus Parramatta Eels round 1 game at CommBank Stadium. So we're doing this live in the Parra Cave, so probably one of only a few guests that have actually done an interview in the Parra Cave. So.
Oh, well, thanks very much, Troy. I feel a little bit privileged that I actually can come into the cave and do it live here with you.
There you go. All right, let's go back to the start. Start of the younger years of yourself. Was it always rugby league that you enjoyed playing or watching, or was there other sports that you liked doing as well?
No, well, obviously rugby league was my number one sport. I did play for the West End Bulldogs up in the Ipswich competition. I played there all my life, and obviously cricket in the off season, but I give cricket away because it's got a little bit hot out in the sun up there in Queensland. So rugby league's been basically my whole life, and so has the Parramatta Eels. But as you said earlier, the Bomber and Shaz All Things Sport, we cover all sports because we love all sports, but rugby league is our number one passion.
What sort of a rugby league player were you? What position were you, and how did you
go? I was a centre. I was very, very quick. I was a very good runner, very good athlete, but I wasn't that good at tackling. So I wasn't real flash at all. But like they said, if you had a little bit of speed, you could score some tries, and that was probably my biggest attribute.
Don't worry, I was a bit of a turnstile myself. I wasn't a tackling machine either, so much of the other kids were much bigger than myself. So now, how did you find the Parramatta Eels? What made you? When did you start following the Parramatta Eels, and how?
Well, I'm not exactly sure how I got into Parramatta. Mum's from Eastwood, obviously in the Parramatta Shire there, and I started going for Parramatta. My brother started going for Manly, so I don't know how I got to Parramatta and he got to Manly, because obviously through the 80s they were the two arch rivals. So, but I don't know. Ever since I've got to Parramatta, it's just been a thrill to support them. I don't know whether it's the colours. Obviously, blue and gold's my favourite colours now. So, but no, I've always been Parramatta right from day one. So.
And what would be your first sort of vivid memory of watching the Eels in those early days?
Well, obviously the early days when I was a teenager in the early 80s, they're just a thrill of the backline. Like anybody that's got a backline with Peter Sterling onto Brett Kenny, onto Mick Cronin, onto Ella, onto Growth, and you said Paul Taylor at fullback, and then Ray Price in the forwards there with Peter Wynn and all them. It was just an absolute thrill to watch. They were a special team, that 80s team. And
you mentioned in your intro, Brett Kenny was your favourite player.
Mick Mick Cronin was actually my first player. When I got confirmed as a young boy, I took Michael as a confirmation name, but then I just worked my way to Brett Kenny, and he was just a freak of a player, and I rate him as my greatest ever eel. I've got number plates on the car, Eel 06, which I've had for 20 years. Obviously, for Brett Kenny, I had a greyhound called 5'8 Bert. I had one called Halfback Sterlo as well. So, but Brett Kenny was just a freak of a player. I just loved watching him play, and he took a lot of intercepts. When I used to play, I used to try and reminisce and take a few intercepts myself.
You don't really see intercepts this much in today's game, do you?
No, well, I think the game's changed then. Back in those days, you had the two centres on the same side and the centre side occasionally. Now it's more block plays and different things, so you don't see a lot of intercept, especially from a 5'8 anyway. If there are intercepts, it's normally a little bit out wider these days.
Yeah, that definitely. I think it was like Brett Kenny, and then sort of Ryan Girdler came onto the scene. He sort of took that mantle, and there's been a few here and there, but not too many. What's your favourite Brett Kenny moment? There's so many of them.
Well, there was so many. Well, probably one of the first one was the 2 tries in the 81 grand final, and then it was the 2 tries in the 82 grand final, and then the 2 tries in the 83, and then the 2 disallowed tries in there. But there was a special one in the semi-final where he sidestepped off his right foot to get around Terry Lamb and score in the corner. I think it was a Paddington Hill corner there, as Ray Warren called it back in them days. So, but there's that many different intercepts that I just love watching him play.
Yeah, no, definitely. So after Ray Price and Mick Cronin retired, it was a bit of a lean period there. What about sort of those late 80s, mid 90s players? Was there anyone that sort of stood out for yourself whilst Brett was still playing?
Yeah, well, I didn't really have too many big players back then. Obviously, when the players come across from the Canterbury Bulldogs, when Super League hit, and we got Jim Dimmick come across, and Jason Smith and Jared McCracken and Dean Pay. I really like Jim Dimmick as a player. I just his workaholic attitude out on the field there. But like I said, they were probably the lean years. There's probably a lot of players there that if I brought their names up, the Eels fans wouldn't know exactly who they are. They might have lasted 2 years and then gone off. The turnover at the Eels back in the 90s towards that was a fair bit year after year.
Now, just going back to Brett Kenny, you've seen a lot of rugby league, a lot of first grade rugby league. Massive debating question: should Brett Kenny be an immortal of rugby league?
Well, an immortal, it's very hard to become an immortal. I know people throw it out there and say this one's got to be immortal. There's been that many different players that could put their hand up to be an immortal. Obviously, being biased towards Parramatta there, like I always thought that Brett Kenny was one of the most naturally gifted athletes that you've seen. I suppose most Para fans probably adored Peter Sterling, probably a little bit more because back in then the halfbacks guided the team around the park, the kicking game and different things. But like I said, he's got to be high up there in the discussion. Not just with Parramatta, he went on to do it at Origin level, and every time he faced Wally Lewis, who isn't a immortal, New South Wales won, but the New South Wales selectors unfortunately kept shoving him out in the centres and putting different players at 5'8", and Wally got over the top of them.
Yeah, certainly, and also the 82 Kangaroo Tour as well took Wally's spot as well, so...
Yeah, well, he certainly did, and he was only a young fella back in them days. Him and Peter Sterling went over there as number 2s behind Turvey Mortimer and Wally, but Bert and Sterlo, they played all the Test matches.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've always said that at least one Parramatta player from that 80s run should be an immortal. I think. I mean. 4 premierships in the 80s, shared them along with Canterbury, 3 in a row, the last team to 3-peat. One player should be at least an immortal.
Yeah, well, like I said, we talk about Peter Sterling and Ray Price. I was going to say Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny, but Ray Price.
Yeah, definitely.
If he's not up there as well. What a talent he was. He was basically the glue that kept Parramatta together. The forwards there, he was the experience, and he was a captain that said, follow me, and he went out there and gave 150% every game.
Yeah, nah, certainly. Dual international as well.
Yeah.
So a Wallaby and a Kangaroo. Captained the 86 Premiership team, and yeah, no, definitely. And shout out to Ray. Hope he's going all right. He's got a golf day, I think, up on
the Gold Coast.
Yeah, coming up soon. So that should be pretty good. What have been some of your favourite Eels moments from over the years? You mentioned the grand finals there, but is there a game that games that stick out in terms of, I just really love that game?
Well, being from Queensland, obviously a Broncos-dominated state, and being from Ipswich, which is not far from there, Alfie Langer and the Walters boys from Ipswich there, when we beat them in the semi-final there, what was it, 58-0?
Yeah.
In the grand final, that was a special moment up there because there's so many Broncos up there, especially from Ipswich there, so it was really good, and it was just great to obviously beat a team that you don't like.
Yeah, that's true. That was a classic game, that one. It was then Bankwest, now Combank. And favourite away grounds that you've been to, speaking of Combank Stadium, obviously been an away ground for yourself, being from Queensland. What has been your favourite away trip besides Parramatta?
Well, like you said, an away trip to Combank. I was there when it opened up as Bankwest. I was there when Parramatta Stadium opened up in '86. So that was a great ground to be at as well. But Suncorp, if New South Wales people have been to Suncorp it's one of the best grounds around to view rugby league. Ellen Road, I was fortunate enough to go on the 1990 Kangaroo Tour.
Oh, yeah.
Over to England and France for 7 weeks. We went over there just following the rugby league. I went over with Alan Langer's mother and father and his uncle and his partner at that stage, so who he ended up marrying. But they were just special moments over there. And like I said, Ellen Road ground, being in England, like just a little Australian contingent around with the Pommy fans singing. It was something special over there. The grounds over here, I don't really have a special away ground. Like I've been to a few of the other old grounds when they used to play at Seaford Oval there, down at Canberra and Newtown's ground and Lidcombe Oval in the west back in the days. So, but obviously they all play at a little bit bigger stadiums now.
Now, let's go back to the 1990 Kangaroo Tour and your 7-week trip. That must have been an amazing trip to go on. Unfortunately, we don't have Kangaroo Tours anymore, which is a shame because I used to love waking up and watching those games early hours of the morning. I think due to probably the amount of games that they play these days, it's probably a little bit difficult to put on a 6-7 week tour. But what are your memories of that 1990 Kangaroo Tour?
Yeah, well, like you said, it'd be good if they could be around now. But like you said, it's different. Super League used to play after our season finished, so it was good for the Kangaroo. Now they basically play at the same type of time. So, and obviously after it's looking after the athlete now. The athlete now is bigger, stronger. Like I said, play more games. So to play a full season of NRL and then go away in them days. The test matches, they played 3 test matches in England, then played in France as well, and then played about 7 lead-up games. They played Wigan and Ellen Road and Wakefield Trinity and Hull KR, different teams around there. But it was just so special to be away for so long with rugby league people. They weren't all Parramatta fans, but they were rugby league fans, and it didn't cost as much that day, a couple of $1,000. If they had one now, it'd probably cost about $10,000 to go on it with the hotel prices and the flight prices. But just to get to watch rugby league in a different country, the Pommies over there, they just love their rugby league. Well, obviously not the whole country, but in certain parts of the country there, it's really big. And
which club games did you get to? Was it all of them?
No, we didn't go to all of them there. We went to Wigan when they did play Wigan, and we went to, I think they played Hull or Hull KR, one of them 2 sides there. So we got to see 2 of them games. And while they were playing them, we jetted off to Germany and France and Switzerland and come back and forward. So it was a rugby league tour, but it was also a
holiday as well.
Very, very good holiday. But I was a little bit younger then. If I knew what I knew now back then, I'd have a lot better time.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. We've seen Parramatta win 4 premierships in the 80s. We haven't won one, unfortunately, since then, 37 years. Everyone keeps on reminding me, and no doubt yourself as well.
Exactly.
We've had a few close encounters. 2001, we were favourites to make the grand final, or win the grand final. Had a stellar year that year, point scoring records. Newcastle beat us. 2009, we lost again to Melbourne, which we later found out was salary cap reasons. And last year we lost to the Panthers as well. Out of those 3 losing grand finals, which one sort of disappoints you the most?
Probably the 2001. Like you said, we scored the most points in history that year there. The back line was just electric back then. Jared Hayne was killing it for us then. And just the whole back line of Christian Inu. I love Christian Inu.
Yeah.
Folletti Matteo was great in the forwards back then. And like I said, we just dominated nearly every team that year. Like, we had a couple of losses along the way, but we just dominated. We were electric for the whole season, and to get to the grand final, and obviously just wasn't our day. Ben Kennedy just carved us up, and we're probably gone by half time. But we did fight back, and then, like I said, 2009 was much the same. We were favourites to win it again, and just couldn't do it. But like they say, only one team can win a grand final, and it's very hard to win a grand final. But and then last year we probably weren't expected to win. That Penrith team is red hot, but to make a grand final, you're a 50-50 chance, and unfortunately, once again, on the day, we just didn't bring our A game, and the Panthers put us to the sword. So we'll just have to just keep fighting on. Like I said, 37 just keeps 36 become 37, and so hopefully 37's where it ends.
That's right. They'll become our lucky number, I think, 37.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's where the drought will end. Now, we're sitting in the Parra Cave here, and I know yourself is a massive collector as well. Is there a special sort of piece of memorabilia that stands out for you that you just love, your favourite?
Well, I've got heaps of different ones there. One I've got at home, Jack Gibson selected his best ever Parramatta team from his day there, and it's a montage. He selected 1 to 13, and it's signed by all the players and signed by him as well.
Oh, nice.
That's a special piece because obviously Jack's not obviously around now, whereas the other players are, so you could still get the pieces. But like I said, that's probably the main piece, but I do have a lot of other pieces which signed jerseys, Brett Kenny signed prints and different things that he dedicated to me and signed and all that there. But I don't really have a favourite.
Yeah.
Anything with the Parramatta logo on, I just love.
Yeah. Nah, don't blame you. You mentioned Jack Gibson there. There's been a few coaches since his time at the club. Is there a Parramatta coach that you like that stands out for you of what he did at the club?
Yeah, well, I really like Brian Smith. He was at there the longest. Obviously, Brad Arthur's had a fair stint there as well. But Brian Smith, he was just... I know there's a few people out there that didn't like some of his coaching methods, but he could get the best out of players. And if you talk to the players and ask them who their best player was around that era, a lot of them all seem to bring Brian Smith up as a great player. And if the players bring it up, it doesn't really matter what the fans think, because obviously the players are the one that get to see the coach in a different light.
Yeah, no, certainly. As I said before, there was lean times in Parramatta, those early 90s, and then Brian Smith came along and turned the Eels into a semi-final team, and then later the 90s turned into a premiership contender, and then made that grand final in 01, and unfortunately couldn't get the win there. But it certainly ranks up there as one of my favourite coaches that's coached at Parramatta. Let's turn our attention to this year and 2023. As I said before, we've got round 1 coming up tonight. How do you think Parramatta will go this season in 2023?
Well, obviously, we were the second best team last year. You don't make a grand final if you're a bad team. So it doesn't matter what players. Sometimes a team full of champions doesn't make a grand final. You've got to play as a team. And obviously last year we did play as a team. Obviously losing Reid Marnie and Isaiah Papalehi is really going to hurt us. But Josh Hodgson, he's a quality player. If he steps up and can do basically what Reid did, we don't lose much there. But the back row, obviously we've got a different back row. We're obviously with Dory playing and Murchie playing, but I'm really thrilled to watch this Jermaine Hopgood.
Yeah.
So he's got all there. He obviously couldn't get into the Penrith team, so he's coming to Parramatta to get into A grade, and I'm sure he's probably going to play A grade for the whole year for Parramatta. So I'm really looking forward to exactly what he brings to the team, and obviously the back line. I just love the back line there. I'm a Dylan Brown fan, so I love Dylan Brown, and obviously with him signing, and obviously, like you said, we've got the game tonight. Moses hasn't signed. Believe that he has signed, but until you keep saying, and on Facebook and on social media, everybody said he's signed, and you always say, and I'm exactly the same way, until the club comes out and announces the signing, it's just rumours. So,
probably by the time this comes out, the news will be out that he has signed.
Well, I hope.
But I don't have a scoop. But by the time this comes out, he would have signed, I reckon.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, no. As I said, I personally, I think it'll be announced at the game tonight. We'll only have to just wait and see. What is, as a fan, passionate fan, what is? I mean, everyone. All the passionate fans and all the fans, they want to win the competition. Obviously, that's their goal. But what is your realistic sort of expectation of where we might finish the regular season this year?
Well, obviously, an unbiased view. Like, obviously, being a big Para fan, I'd like to say it's hard. We're going to be minor premiers. But I don't think we will be minor premiers. I'm sure if we can finish anywhere from 4, 5 or 6, that gives you a chance to make your run. So if you're fourth, it's no different whether you're third or second. So if you're in the top 4, you get the double chance. If you're 5, obviously you're playing a little bit of elimination football. But I suppose anywhere in the 8 would be good. I know a Parramatta fan's going to say, well, we should be up the top, but if I'm putting my house on it, I think that I think we can finish as high as 4th. Like I said, there's going to be a couple of lots. We've got a different back row, so it may take time for the Para Eels to gel. So hopefully the fans can stick on board. You're going to have bad times every year. Through the 80s there, we lost 3 games in a row in 81. If we had social media back then, they would have been bagging Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny and all that. So, but you've got to realise that it's a long season. So don't go off bagging anyone early on the season. Wait for the season to finish, and then obviously you can have an opinion. But obviously some people probably shouldn't voice their opinion. I've seen some bad ones.
Yeah, no, definitely they're out there. That's for sure. I'll probably agree. I think I've said before, maybe 5th or 6th is probably a good realistic goal, and anything higher than that is a bonus. Skipping back to 2022, last year, I think we probably should have been in the top 4 a lot earlier, but we left it to the last game of the season. We had those losses against the Tigers and the Bulldogs, which we were favourites going in to win. We should have won those ones, but we didn't, and we left the run until the last round, and luckily we got there. But I'd probably say about 5th or 6th, so that's a pretty realistic goal for me, I guess. Going back to 2022, what do you make of that season last year?
Well, I think it was, to make a grand final, I think it's a good season. Obviously, to win it would have been the cream on top of the cake. But it was a different season. We had really good patches, and then we had some bad patches, which you've just mentioned there. We went into the West Tigers game. Everyone's going, we'll beat them by 30 and all that there. But rugby league's a funny game. You've got the bounce of the ball, the attitude. If the players don't turn up on the game, if a player's not feeling the best, you go in with a different mindset. You're sitting on top of the ladder, you're playing the bottom team, and you go, oh, well, we're going to beat them easy. I can take the foot off the throttle. Well, that bottom team wants to beat the top team, and there's always occasions where that bottom team does upset the team. So, like I said, we're not going to win every game this year. Undefeated season premiers would be great. So the chances of that happening is very remote, even for the Panthers. The Panthers, if they win it this year, or if the Roosters win it, they're going to suffer a couple of losses throughout the year. But the year last year, we were pretty good with injuries and pretty good with suspension, so that plays a big part in it. Through the 80s, like I said, we were, and even 2001, that year, we had no injuries. So a team that can have no injuries will go a long way in the premiership.
And how was your grand final experience? Because you came down last year. How was your grand final experience?
Yeah, well, obviously, the hype's always good around grand final. I've been to just over 20 grand finals down here, but it's always good to come down to your team. It obviously gets the heart pumping a little bit more. I was at the 86 grand final as a teenager, sitting on the hill there. Obviously, can't remember a whole lot of it, but obviously we won that. So the thrill watching them walk around with the premiership trophy was great. Hopefully, I can do that this year or in the coming years. I'd like to see another one shortly.
Yeah, I want to see one. I mean, obviously, I've been alive since I've won competitions, but would love to experience one live.
Yeah.
And at this age, not at 8 years old. So, that'd certainly be great to see, and hopefully this year is the way to go. Who are you most disappointed that we've lost player-wise this year? As you said, we've got a few new players into the team. Who are you most disappointed to see that we have lost for this season?
Oh, well, probably the main player that I was really disappointed is the fella from Queensland, Reed Marnie. Reed, I really liked him at Parramatta. I reckon he's got the greatest passing game off the ground of any halfback, and if you talk to other players in the game, they say the same thing. His passing game, his delivery of the ball, can pass it 20, 30 metres and hit it out the front, loves tackling. I was really disappointed when we let him go. Obviously, he went for, the reasons known to him, whether it was for money, whether it was to whatever, I don't know. He obviously was from, when he did come from Queensland down, he did play juniors for them. They didn't want to pay him $1,000 to stay there, and obviously Parramatta picked him up and turned him into the great player, and he's gone back there. So he was probably a big disappointment. So hopefully Josh Hodgson can be the next Reed Marnie. Not that he's going to be the next Reed Marnie. He's going to be he's Josh Hodgson. But back in the day, if Josh can pick up the form that he had a few years ago, we're probably not going to lose a lot.
Yeah, that's it. Excited to see Josh play, and as you mentioned before, Jermaine Hopgood as well. A lot of raps on him, and he's already shown it in the Indigenous game so far this year, and the trial game. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him play. Now, you're part of Bomber and Shaz, All Things Sports radio show. Tell us a little bit about that one. That must be pretty fun to do.
Yeah, it was there. I met Shaz up there when we were doing radio at a station. We're now at Radio Springfield City up there. For those that don't know, Queensland, Springfield is the fastest growing, I think, in Australia. Okay. 10 years ago, there was nothing there. Now there's 2 high schools, there's a Mater hospital, there's about 40,000 people that live there, or probably more there now. It's the biggest growing area. So we're with the radio station up there with Pete Carey, who owns the station with a few partners. So we do a radio show up there, just covering the fixtures, results from the Ipswich competition, as well as other competitions from Toowoomba. Shaz loves getting out there. For all those that know Shaz, and you would probably agree, she's very bubbly. She's very in your face. In a nice way there. She loves getting out there doing videos. She loves getting somewhere to take that special photo and different things there. And we bounce off other really good. I got a few contacts there and get in there, and then she just takes the next step. I've only got to introduce her to someone there and then leave alone. The next thing, she's taking photos with the phone number. We're putting sponsors up. We get out to training sessions and just promote rugby league. I love rugby league.
Yeah.
Like I said, she loves rugby league as well. That's our number one passion. But we do other sports up there as well. So
Yeah, no, it's a credit to both of you that you get out to those junior rugby league teams, and because you're so passionate and you want to cover it and stuff like that. Is there a player out there in the junior ranks that you think Parramatta should maybe keep an eye on? Or?
Well, I did send the name of a player up there a few years ago to Parramatta. They didn't end up signing him. He ended up signing with the Canberra Raiders. But he went down there in the first season. He was only a young kid, did his shoulder. He was out for a year and a half and then got cut by the Raiders, and now he's back playing for Winner Manly in the competition up here. But there's some talent up there. Ipswich High, school that I went to, just won the national competition.
Okay.
So... Like back in, I can remember following the Commonwealth Bank Cup. All the big schools were St Greg's, Campbelltown, Fairfield, Patrician Brothers, Ipswich. I mean, Queensland had one school, Keebra Park, which is the number one school. Well, now
Benji you come from, wasn't it?
Now
Benji?
well, that's where Payne Haas and all them Benji went to, because that was the only school you could go to and do rugby league. Now we've got about 6 or 7 schools up north in Yeppoon there, St Brennan's up there, and then Ipswich High, this school I went to, who I thought would never get anywhere near it. They've got a big program which was started by Lee Addison, who does aim higher coaching up there of the young kids. He got this school together. They got some players in from overseas, and then last year won the whole lot. They won the Allalanger Cup, won the competition up there, and then beat the big New South Wales school that they sent up there, which I thought would never happen.
Nice. So a bit of talent up there then. Probably have to...
Yeah, a lot of the boys from that school are signed. I think 13 of them got signed by either the Dolphins, the Broncos, or down here the Canterbury Bulldogs signed 3 of them. So they're all young talent. They'll obviously play through their junior grades and then hopefully get up into a top 30 position in the years to come.
Well, speaking of the Dolphins, they're in the NRL this year, 2023, the 17th team. You're from up in Queensland. What's the vibe up there about the Dolphins coming into the competition?
Well, if you're not a Brisbane fan, everybody loves it. Like Ipswich, we had a nomination into the Western Corridor bid to become the 17th side. We've got more juniors and different things, but unfortunately the financial side of it wasn't the greatest in our model. So unfortunately, the NRL I think wanted a team with money, and the Redcliffe have got a big leagues club. They own a supermarket, a big complex right beside them. So the money side of it was pretty good up there. They've got good juniors and all that. They've been around in the BRL competition up there for years. So I think if you don't support the Broncos, everyone rejoiced up there that the Broncos haven't got the whole right to all of Brisbane and outer suburbs in Queensland with the corporate dollars and all the junior players, and obviously with Wayne Bennett being there now, that was always a big plus for them to get Wayne there.
Were you involved in any way with the Ipswich bid to get into the NRL?
Not officially. I was with the Ipswich Rugby League, which is the grassroots competition underneath the Ipswich Jets, who play in the statewide competition there. So we had talks with the Jets, the chairman of the Jets, Steve Johnson. He was the leader of the Western Corridor bid, which he had been for years. That bid had been going for ages, but unfortunately they just didn't get all their ducks in a row, as they say, and they've gone with the Dolphins. There's talk of the 18th team may even be up that way as well, because the Western Corridor bid wasn't just Ipswich, it was all the way from Logan through Ipswich all the way to Toowoomba. So, and if you have a look at the talent that's come through the Blimber Cup days from Ipswich and Toowoomba, Toowoomba's a massive rugby league town as well.
Do you think then Queensland will get another team in the competition, or do you think the NRL might change their minds and maybe head towards a WA or a Central Coast?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. Biased view would say another team up there wouldn't hurt, but obviously the NRL, they've got a lot of things that they look in, a lot of factors there, like I said, money, recruitment, different grounds and all that there. I always thought Western Australia would be to try and build our game. There are players in the male and female side of the game from Western Australia that are playing in the NRL. I went over there for a game when Parramatta played the Western Reds back in the day. We lost that game. Like I said, that was when we were not a powerhouse back in them days, and that was a good tour. It was a Parramatta supporters tour over there. But like I said, I'd if it's not the Western Corridor area, I'd like to see Western Australia enjoy that. That way we can become more of a national competition rather than just down the eastern side here.
That would have been the days, back in the days, with the black, would it have been the black boot polish under the eyes?
Under the eyes there, yeah. We
playing at the Wacker?
Yeah, at the Wacker it was played too, so... Yeah, it was a good tour. The result wasn't the best, but I think some of the players we had back in them days weren't obviously the champions there. It was hard to get players to come to your club when you're down at the bottom of the ladder, but we've gradually built ourselves up to where we are today.
Well, speaking of players, if you had a checkbook and no salary cap, don't worry about salary cap, is there a past player that you would have loved to have seen play at Parramatta?
Oh, not really. Everyone that pulls on the Parramatta jersey, I think and love. Like Jared Hayne, I was a big Jared Hayne fan. I thought he was a freak of a player. Like Brett Kenny was a freak, but Jared Hayne was a freak too. So, but obviously from other clubs, they all had their good players, but they were playing in a different jersey. So I didn't really I don't like anyone from other clubs. Well, I do like them, but I just
that's fair enough.
Not in that way. So.
What about that probably won't work for my next question then. If a current day situation.
Well, a current player, there's a few current players.
So current day player. Don't worry about a salary cap. Don't worry about you've got the checkbook. Who do you want in the blue and gold?
Well, I'd like to see James Tedesco. I'm a big fan of his there. Obviously, we got Gutho there. Hopefully, we'll find a position for Gutho.
Yeah, where do we move him to?
If he did come across, but Tedesco's just the ultimate competitor. He just runs the ball back hard all the time as a fullback. He backs up. He scores tries. He just gives 100% every game. There's a heap of other players there that from other clubs there, but he's probably the number one player that I really love.
Yeah, no, he's New South Wales captain, Australian captain, won premierships, and he's the sort of player that you can just see that after serious injuries that can come back and play, champion footy, win comps and represent your state and country. But I mean, I suppose with some people, those injuries happen at a younger age, and not an older age. So, but yeah, definitely a champion player and worth every cent for the Roosters, sliding them under the salary cap. But they're sombrero. All right, we'll move into some personality questions. We'll wrap the podcast up with the personality questions. A set of 6 that I like to call it. Outside of cricket and rugby league, is there a favourite sport that you enjoy?
Yeah, I love the AFL as well. I was born in Melbourne. I only stayed there for a couple of years before getting out. Dad was in the RAF, so big Richmond Tigers fan. They were a little bit like Parramatta. Hadn't won the premiership for a couple of decades there, and then all of a sudden we won 3 premierships in 4 years. So big Dusty Martin fan. They're Richmond Tigers.
Hopefully Parramatta can fall in the same vein then.
It's been a little bit longer. A little bit hard for 20 years. I'm a Richmond Tigers fan and a Parramatta Eels fan, and both of them had one premiership.
Yeah, so. Yes, no, definitely. Is there a famous person in the world, either dead or alive, that you would love to have met or would love to meet and have a chat and a beer with?
Oh, there was a heap of different ones. In my early years, I was an ice hockey fan as well. Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, yeah.
Love Wayne Gretzky, the greatest ever ice hockey players, but also follow the soccer too. Lionel Messi, like him, tennis. I was a huge Van Lendl fan back in the day, and obviously Roger Federer, the greatest tennis player of all time. I did get to meet Van Lendl, but obviously Roger Federer would have been somebody to have at the dinner table to have a chat with.
Was that to say hello to Ivan and get a signature, or?
Yeah, well, he played a tournament up at Milton when they had the grass courts up there at Milton in Queensland, Brisbane there, and he got around to the fans there. A little bit hard to understand, obviously, with his Czech tongue, but no, he was very accommodating up there. Like he was a bit of a robot, as they say there, but I just love watching him play.
I think back in the day, I think I used to have one of his. Could have been Adidas. I think
he was with Adidas, and he went to Mizuno. There towards the end of his career.
I think it was when he was with Adidas, and it was like the 4 coloured boxes. I think.
On his shirt.
Yeah. I used to have that one. It used to be one of my favourite shirts going around. Is there a favourite sporting documentary or movie that you enjoy watching or have seen? It either can be a serious one, or it could be a comedy.
No, well, I did watch, watching, like I said, I did mention before, basketball. I was also love the basketball, Atlanta Hawks fan.
Atlanta Hawks, okay.
Grew up in the day of the Michael Jordans and Larry Birds and there, but I was an Atlanta Hawk. We had a fella called Dominic Wilkins. The
slam dunk champion.
The human highlight film, they called him there. He's the only one to beat Michael Jordan in a slam dunk competition. So The Last Dance, which is obviously on Michael Jordan and his three-peat, and then he went away and then come back and got another three-peat with the Chicago Bulls. So, I really enjoyed the Last Dance.
Yeah, no, that is something that we all suggest to go out and watch if you haven't watched it at all. It was a major success, that one. Is there a favourite holiday destination that you love to get away to?
I've been to Hawaii, I think 5 or 6 times over my life. I just love going there. It's haven't been there for obviously probably a decade now, but I did go there a few times in a few years. Yeah, no, it's just a good place to be. Like it's basically one big holiday island. Everybody that goes there, if you're native from there, obviously you work and doing things, but everybody else that's there is either American or from all around the world, and just so friendly wherever you go. If you go to Fort Island to see the boat over there, or if you go to Honolulu Bay, or see the big waves on the other side of the island, it's just a special place, and it's very, very friendly place.
Nice. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Not much in the kitchen there. I like macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good one. Roast pork, big roast pork fan. Not that I'm too good at cooking the roast pork there. I've got to get a lot of tips, but it just never comes out with that crackle on it that everybody seems to be able to get. You're supposed to baste it on and do this and do that, but I just can't seem to crack it.
We'll put the shout out to the listeners and see if they can send in a recipe for the crackling and help you out that way. And the last one, who's your favourite band or solo artist to listen to?
Well, growing up in the days, I'm a big Midnight Oil fan.
Oh, yeah.
I love Peter Garrett. I've seen him in concert about 10 times over the years. I think I went to 2 of their last tours. It was always the last tour, and then they'd come back and support again, and then have another one. I just love the Midnight Oil songs. Jimmy Barnes was always there. I'd seen him up at Fisherman's Wharf several times as Jimmy Barnes or as Cold Chisel. So they were probably the main two, but Midnight Oil's
What's your favourite Midnight Oil song?
I like Beds Are Burning. That's probably one of their number one songs, but they had so many number one songs, so hard to nail it down.
That's it. Champion band, and I think, as you said, now in retirement, I think they have no more concerts, but you never know. They might
spring up for one here for a charity, just get together type things. So.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Anthony Bomber Breeze, thank you for joining me in the Para Cave here for a podcast chat. I'm sure the fans will love it. I probably could have, as you know, talked for hours about Parramatta and also rugby league as well, and really appreciate your time. And where can people listen to you? And Shaz, shout out to Shaz as well. I know she'll listen to this one for sure, definitely.
She will,
shout out to Shaz. She'll get disappointed if I don't mention her. So, where can people listen to Bomber and Shaz All Things Sport?
Well, you can get on Facebook there. Just put in Bomber and Shaz All Things Sport, like our page there. We do. Like I said, we get around to rugby league and all different ones. Shaz has just been down in Sydney the last couple of weekends there with the Philippine Rugby League and also the Thailand Rugby League. We're big with growing rugby league and obviously the Asian sides. A lot of people don't know that the Philippines and Thailand and India and Japan all have sides. So get on our page and like it. Download the Radio Springfield City app, which is our radio. We'll have a sports show starting very shortly, and on there, download it. It's a streaming radio station, so you can listen to it here. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, so it will be listened, and you'll just see how crazy Shaz is. You know how crazy Shaz is. We probably could be Beauty and the Beast. I'm nothing to look at. I haven't got the body there. Shaz, I bring the voice. Shaz says I love talking, which obviously I do love talking, love Parramatta, love rugby league, but she brings the beauty to the show there. If you've seen Shaz there, she's a good looking girl.
Well, yeah, listeners, head to the Facebook page and download the app as well. And we'll go to the games tonight. We'll enjoy each other's company. And also I'll see you guys up in Queensland as well a little bit later on this year and look forward to catching up. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast today.
No, thanks very much, Troy. Thanks for inviting me and thanks for letting me do it inside the Parramatta Cave. It's always good talking to you. And while you're talking, I'm looking to my left and right and just seeing the Parramatta logo everywhere. So it was brilliant. Thank you.
How you going, mate? Are you a Parramatta podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Parra. Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Anthony Bomber Breeze and his rugby league stories about his support for the mighty Parramatta Eels and also rugby league as well. And a shout out to Shaz, his co-host on the All Things Sport with Bomber and Shaz show. I'll be in contact with you soon, Shaz, to get you on the show as well for a chat because I know that you're a massive rugby league fan as well. So I've had one half of the duo on the show, so I'll be in contact and we'll get you on the show as well. And then we might even do a duet show as well together with you and Bomber as well. But thanks again, Bomber, for your time and your chat on the show. And no doubt we'll catch up in a few weeks at Magic Round, when the Eels play the Titans in the final game of Magic Round for some more great times together. So once again, a quick shout out and thanks to Jack's Pale Ale, the fantastic major sponsor of the podcast, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Just head there today and grab yours. Also available online. It's perfect for that Eels fan or beer lover as well. And also keep an eye out on social media for what's happening at Parramatta Leagues Club each and every week. Also, Beau Cook from Loan Market. Get in contact with him today on 0401 213 236 and get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal, especially in these difficult financial times. Also, Scott from Brightside Detailing and Ceramics, you'll find him on Instagram and Facebook, or you can contact him today on 0449 544 086. And you'll be driving around in the shiniest and cleanest car in town. Make sure you let him know that you heard it here from myself on the Paracave podcast. BTZD Teamwear as well. Head to www.btzd.com.au and check out their range of team sportswear and see what they can do for you. Official apparel sponsor of the podcast. And as I mentioned before, a strictly limited number of sizes and shirts are polo shirts. Paracave Podcast polo shirts will be available shortly, so stay tuned for details on that one. And also Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty. Get in contact with Shannon on 0421 588 445 for service from a 5-star real estate agent in Glenmore Park and also the Penrith local government area. Please, if you can, support these businesses that support the podcast each week, that help bring you quality entertainment each week, and share the love on social media as well. Thank you once again to you, the listeners that are listening to this podcast and all the podcasts. I really appreciate your support. Especially I get the numbers in. It's interesting to see that there's a lot of interest from overseas as well, with the United States and also the UK being behind Australia as the most listened to place of the podcast. So pretty interesting there. Obviously liking rugby league content. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast so as soon as it drops you'll be able to listen to it. And once again, I really appreciate the support. Thank you once again to the official media partner of the podcast, the Parramatta Times. For all your local Parramatta news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au. Now, before I go, I just wanted to ask you guys, the listeners, did you enjoy the extra content during the week on the podcast? So I'm looking at my content each week, and it will probably roll similar to this each week. So we'll have a legends or fans interview on the Monday, and then I'll have my chat with the Duckman on his weekend sports rap radio show on Pulse FM 89.9 FM on the Wednesday. That'll be the review of the previous NRL round. And then on the Thursday, I'll have my contribution to the Talking Para podcast, another podcast that I'm involved in, just for para lads chewing the fat each week about the Parramatta Eels and their games and any Parramatta Eels issues that raise up during the week. So my contributions are on there. You can also subscribe to the Talking Para podcast as well if you want the full edition as well, available on Apple and Spotify. And then on the Saturday, it'll probably be the preview of the NRL round that is coming up. So yes, there will be a game already played on the Thursday and in the middle of a game on the Friday, but you'll be able to get that on Saturday for the reminder of the games. And let me know how I go with my tips and my thoughts on the games. How close was I? Just let me know via a rating and review on the podcast platform that you listen to. It'd be much appreciated and interesting to see your comments about my tips and comments about the NRL round, or even the Legends or Fans interview, or any of the content that comes out on the Paracave podcast. So please leave a 5-star rating and review on the podcast platform that you listen to. And as I said, it'll be interesting to see the comments that you leave. Have a great week as best you can. Look, the NRL season is well and truly underway now. There's some great footy being played this early on in the season. There's been some really low scores, some close contests, which has been great. A few high scores, but nevertheless, enjoy your footy, whichever team you go for. But make sure you follow the podcast on the socials for some interesting content and to see who is coming up on the podcast, both on Instagram and Facebook as well. Some great and interesting guests coming your way over the next few weeks. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Paracave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!